So redistricting was introduced to us back in July and August. Our House caucus began having conversations about it. I'm not sure about the Senate because I'm not in their caucus. So from the day I first heard about it, I've been a yes. I think we should redistrict. I've been in favor of it, especially when, after hearing about the why to it from the White House on down, and then just having discussions in our caucus about the benefits of redistricting. And as a conservative, I feel like anytime that we can have more conservative representation at the local level, state level, federal level, we should definitely do it. Anytime that we can, we meaning conservative Republicans, can be in more control and take more seats, we definitely should do it. Do I feel like the votes went the wrong way in December at the State House? Yes, I feel like the senators should have stepped up and done the right thing for Hoosiers. The majority of the people in Indiana are conservative people, conservative Republicans. And so I feel like, again, anytime that as a conservative Republican that we can remove a Democrat from an office and put a conservative person in there, I definitely think we should do it. I don't think they went far enough. I think it'll take several years to get our property tax issues more in alignment. I mean, I live here too. My property taxes have went up 21%. The past, well, last year they were up 21%. I can't remember the percentage the year before. So I pay property taxes too. I think Governor Braun tried to do the right thing. I don't think we got it right at all. I think there's a lot more that can be done. I don't think we should be taxing people out of their homes. I think our folks who are on fixed incomes, our seniors, our veterans, as well as any taxpayer, I don't think anyone should be paying rent to the government on the home that they own. I think that the property tax issue has a ways to go before we get it right, and hopefully we'll continue to work on that at the State House. I think we need to take the burden away from our working families, but I do understand that property taxes, like none of that funding goes to the state; it all goes to the local levels. And I do understand that we need to collect something. We need to collect some sort of a property tax, or whatever you're going to call it, an income tax, or to help pay for our public service and to keep our roads up to date and keep fire and police and have the protections that we have. Like I understand that we have to have something that makes our cities and towns run with funding. But on the other hand, I don't think we should be taxing people out of their homes. And I just heard from some senior citizens who had owned their home for I can't remember how many years, quite a few years, and they're worried about not being able to pay their property taxes. That to me is a shame. We should not be taxing people out of their homes and them to pay, I call it kind of paying rent to the government to keep their home they've had forever. Well, I think they go hand in hand a little bit, but I do like local control. I think the locals, like in Indiana, it's not a one size fits all. The communities are not the same across the whole state. Actually, if you just look at Senate District 41, communities are not the same either. So I do think the locals do know what's best for their communities, and I also feel like, well, for example, I'll give you an example that in the world I live in with school boards and schools. So I was for the making the school boards a partisan, so that if someone wanted to show what party they were affiliated with, that it allowed the voters to know who they were voting for and what their political beliefs were. It kind of tells you some background on how that person will probably vote on like the budget for their schools or different things that happen in their schools. So I do feel like school boards know what's best for their schools. I do think sometimes at the State House we get in the way of things, just like everything. Like I think the feds get in our way sometimes. We probably get in the locals' way as well. I do think I do tend to go on. I think locals know what's best for their own community. which also makes voting very important for your local elected officials. I know lots of people like to vote just in presidential years, but it's really our local elected officials who impact our daily lives the most, like school boards and our council members. And so I do like local control. Local elected officials and state elected officials, as well as the federal elected officials, we all should be working together and communicating. Now, we don't always, and we don't always see eye to eye on things, but I do think that we should work together on things. I do think we try to address these issues. It's a funny, we want less government. We don't want a lot of government into things. So when government gets involved, let's say in like the child care issues, there is always an opportunity for the fraud, like we've seen in Minnesota, where, like the Leering Center. I'm sure you've seen some of that. So, but I do think with childcare, I think the focus should be, and probably affordable housing too, is that we want to provide resources for working families, or we should be trying to provide resources for working families so that they can make their own decisions on childcare, so that they can make their own decisions on affordable housing and where they want to live. We should get out of our way, I'm going to say, like by deregulating a few things. And you can't take all the regulations away. I understand that. That was part of that House Bill 1001. We want working families to be able to make decisions for themselves. We should provide them with resources, or they should have resources where they can afford their child care. We should, so that we don't have other taxpayers paying for other people's children's child care. Because again, when you get government involved, there's always that opportunity for fraud, and we need to be very careful of that.